Greetings, Earthlings. I'm Kathy Beal of EmpowermentUnlimited.net and the Professional Aquarian YouTube channel, welcoming you to Celestial Compass. As we are recording this, we are in the thick of a monumental astrological configuration that is going to be playing out for the next number of years and is, as I have been saying, rewiring each of us, our relationship to society and each other, and our experience of reality. It is really that big. The outer planets are traveling in a configuration currently with expansive Jupiter in Leo in the mix that is challenging us to harmonize vastly different ways of being, to harmonize really intense and strong and exuberant self-expression with coexisting in a group, with breaking out of old thought loops and old outmoded ideas about what we can and can't do, and living much more in the moment, guided by heart, guided by inspiration, um, guided by just whatever the vibe is. That's a funny way of saying it, that is building inside of you. You've been feeling this since the end of February, and now it's becoming a way of being. And in the rest of July, we'll be assimilating this personally, and we'll see huge impacts on the national and international stage because our relationship to power is disintegrating and moving into something else. I've put up many videos about this. I've written about this a lot. A lot of astrologers have written about this. There are big corollaries between now and the year 1789, which was pivotal in the founding of this country and in the creation of democracy and the leveling of power and creation of the middle class in France. So I encourage you to do a little historical looking around, get some insight as to what is going on now. Otherwise, this month we have Mercury crawling to a close of his long retrograde in heavily emo Cancer, bringing this has been a really, really emotional one for a lot of people. He stations direct on the 23rd. It's going to feel into next week, in a few days after that, before we'll actually feel movement. And then the nodes of the moon finish up where they've been for the last 19 months in Virgo, Pisces, giving us big, big issues about boundaries, healthy boundaries, what we take on for other people. Flip it. Pisces is the north node, Virgo is the south node. Healthy boundaries and how we can live compassionately and come to grips with the fact that we are all on this planet together. On the 27th, the nodes move into Aquarius and Leo, territory that has been really, really pumped up by the basket or cradle configuration that's going on in the middle of the month. And we'll find ourselves really being pushed and challenged more and more to look at life as a collective experience and figure out where you fit in the community, and probably refocus the concept of power and resources, which is what astrologer Andre Barbeau saw as the ultimate outcome of the restructuring going on starting this week. And then one more thing, at the end of the month on the 29th, we have a full moon in the sign of Aquarius, again, where a lot of activity is going on. And this one, although it is just a full moon, is going to confuse you into thinking it is a lunar eclipse because it carries ejector buttons in a really, really big way. So just be prepared. Things are going to leave, situations, people, maybe things you thought you wanted in your life, a huge switcheroo going on to get people on the proper place on the playing field for where we're heading. And I'll be talking about the shift of the nodes in the next installment of this show. So lots and lots and lots going on. My monthly and moon forecasts are at omtimes.com. my monthly moon forecasts and my weekly 10 to 12-minute sassy little podcasts are at empowermentunlimited.net and the Professional Aquarian YouTube channel. And by the way, I have lots of information at my Patreon, patreon.com/Kathy Beale, about the current configuration, which is named for the French astrologer that brought attention to it, Andre Barbeau. So it's called Barbeau's Basket. And one final thing, on the 29th, I have a free event. If you go to my website, there's a sign up link really at the top. A free event with Danielle Agnew and Andrew Bassano Brewer, going over what we observe as the impact of all of these, the collective impact and the personal impact of this extraordinary collection of energies that we've been living under. Okay, so we're doing things a little differently today. Every once in a while, I have as a guest someone whose way of living is actually like a poster child for something that's going on astrologically. And today's guest is someone who's actually harmonized polarities in his life and has crafted his own way of being that brings a bunch of his own interests to play, encourages his own self-expression, and creates community, which is a really long-winded way of saying that's part of the challenge and the invitation we have right now. So I am welcoming Mark Winters, who is an aerospace engineer turned musician from my old hometown of Houston. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, Karen, how you doing? Wow, that was a lot of amazing things you had going on there in the introduction. I think I could write like 7 songs just from your introduction. There was a lot of great energy going on there. So pretty cool. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I challenge you to write songs from that, and I am
Ah,
serious.
that's great. Yeah, a couple of like you were talking about finding the appropriate boundaries. There's a
Mhm.
couple of them. Like I wrote a song called Boundary Layer. It's about breaking through boundaries in your life and finding the person that you're meant to be. So I have one that I've already written. So I've got 6 more to go. Right?
Well, go for it. Well, I like to take
Yeah.
this conversation
Yeah.
back a little, back to the beginning here. So let's
Yeah.
let's talk about when you were a kid. How's that for a question you weren't expecting? When you were a kid, what were your interests? What sorts of things did you gravitate to?
Yeah, I've always loved understanding how the world works. I guess I have a wonder-filled mind, and
Mhm.
math and science were ways in which I could sort of unpack the way that things worked around me. And so I always had an aptitude for math and science, a mechanical aptitude for, taking things apart and putting them back together again. Um, and so that was a big influence of mine, just sort of just leaning into the sciences. And I also was I really enjoyed the competitive elements of sports. And so I did all kinds of sports growing up. And those are my two mainstays, from my childhood, really, that I really recall. I had grandparents who encouraged both sides of me, and was, a lot of great memories.
From that. And so how did you wander into aerospace?
Yes. So, it's like I remember, whatever I happened to be doing, like playing football or tennis or whatever, just sort of studying a little bit of the physics, the applied physics around the things that I was, learning to do. And so, uh, you know, uh, as I was at the end of my high school career, I was playing tennis. I played tennis in college my first year, just understanding, the way balls move through the air. I loved flying, and I loved motorcycle racing and going fast and feeling gravitational forces in the wind. Um, and so that sort of had me leaning into some kind of an applied physics area, like an engineering discipline. And then I found out about aerospace engineering almost kind of by accident. I was just looking through my my college booklet, and I was like, oh, aerospace engineering. I was thinking like, you know, orbital mechanics, space stuff. And then I realized that there's a field, there's actually two fields in aerospace. One is orbital mechanics in space, and the other is atmospheric or flight through fluids or object movement through fluids, air and water and other gases. And that sounded fascinating to me. And then I looked into the math of it. And the math was very complex. Even with the best AI today, you still can't solve the equations that live in the atmosphere that explain the way objects work. And so I love the mystery of that, right? And the fact that you had to sort of intuit your way sometimes to some of the engineering applications because of that. So I landed in aerospace, and never looked back. It was a phenomenal choice for me, and I made tons of great friends, and really got to learn a ton about designing helicopters and jets, and all the math and science that goes with that.
Did you actually then end up working in the industry?
I did for a little bit. In school I co-opted. So at my junior and senior year, I worked for Bell Helicopter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Hurst Euless Bedford in particular,
Hmm.
and worked on the XV-15, which was the predecessor to the V-22 Osprey, um, and F-16, and some helicopter pieces as well. So I did a little bit in school, as a junior engineer, and helped pay for my schooling. And then when I graduated, I came to Houston and worked for a flight simulations company and built trainers for
Woo.
choppers and jets, trained the Marines and the Air Force on different aircraft. So a few years of that, um, and it was fun. But I found I was I didn't get the sense of community and people and I don't know, the humanity of life. I didn't get enough of that
Hmm.
in engineering. Um, and so a buddy of mine and I started a few side hustles, um, and that started helping move me away from engineering a little bit. And then I don't know. Lo and behold, I picked up a guitar to sing a song for my wife for our anniversary in 2011, and just it was my first time to do anything musical, and it was so phenomenal the connection I got. I sang her a song in our favorite Italian restaurant, and just wow, it was like, where has this been my whole life? I never had sang or played or anything before, and it was just so intimate for me. Uh, that My wife would tell you I became obsessed with learning music at that point, and started writing my own stuff in 2019, and just I find more and more joy in music every day. It's a fabulous place to live.
So you weren't a band geek in high school or anything. It just sort of erupted in your hands.
Yes,
Oh, that's
uh,
really
it
cool.
it was an amazing transformational time, for me to step into something. I've always had a creative side to me, but not. It wasn't like the dominant side of me,
Mhm.
and so it was. It's the first time in my mind, it's my first time that I've really been able to use both halves of my brain at the same time in doing something, right? Something
Mhm.
adult, serious oriented, right? Where I get to use both sides, and yeah, it's awesome.
I say I live on the bridge between intuition and the rational mind, so welcome. Yes, totally
Yeah.
get what you're saying. Now, how do words weave into this? Because a lot of people, I'm going to make a judgmental statement here, stereotype. Although I was brought up by somebody who didn't fit this, but a lot of people who are very mathematical aren't so hot on the verbal side, and yet you write lyrics. So how did that develop?
Yeah, that's a great story for me. So, one, I had the worst. English teachers on the planet. When I was in elementary school, they were uh, like they would give me a story to read, or something, a picture, and I would write something about it, or I would interpret what I thought another author was saying in the story. And I have a very big imagination. I love science fiction and fantasy and whatever, so I would come up with some like very tangential thing, right? And the teacher would whack me with their little ruler and tell me that's not what the author meant, and this is how the classical interpretation of this story goes, and this is what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to, right? So I got a ton of negativity, and so I in school, God, like every English teacher I had, literature English teacher I had, I got straight A's in every subject except English, right? And it was always a battle. But the shining little light for me was when I was a kid. I was like 5 or 6 years old. Um, I have there's 4 boys in my family, so 3 brothers, and we were hanging out in East Texas at my grandma, and grandpa's house for the summers, and I remember just well, first of all, trying not to break everything in my grandma's house because I was pretty rambunctious. And then I remember like waking up in her sewing room from some kind of a, I don't know, she cast a spell on me or something. And I was sitting in her sewing room with her, and I'd just written a poem. And I don't remember writing the poem, but I had written it. And then I remember reading the poem, like, first of all, what am I doing here? Right. And then I read the poem. I'm like, okay, that's my handwriting. I wrote it. And I kind of like it. And so I asked my grandma if I could read it to her. Um, and being an amazing poet and artist herself, she knew exactly how to receive that from me and nurture me. And so we became, from that moment, we became poetry pals and painting pals. Um, for my whole life, right? So just an amazing influence. And so we send each other poems. And so I would say my love of creating emotion in words was born on that day. The transformational power that words can have. And so I'd say as I started writing music, well, fast forward through my engineering career, you don't study, like, you study technical writing, but you don't study creative writing in engineering or
Mhm.
anything else, right? So there was really not an outlet in school for me for English, um, or for creative writing. Technical writing, I'm very good at because I got trained a lot for that. And so when I got to songwriting, um, I write poems every day. I have lots of material, lots of starter fuel for songs and the emotions behind them. And so the lyrical elements for a song are just they're just super, natural for me. I can free write against something, and I have lots of great expressions, and I can pull a lyric out of those free writes pretty easily. The hard part for me was actually, the melody of a song and the way it interacts with the lyric is its own skill. And so,
Mhm.
you don't you can write a beautiful poem, and the poem can be completely unsingable, right? It's the words and the cadence of the words just can't be sung. Um, and so I had to learn uh, that skill, right? Of the prosody of of the melody and the underlying instrumentation. How does that support the emotional elements that the lyric is trying to deliver, right? So that was a journey for me. I had to learn it, and it was probably the most difficult journey because I'd never sung before, and so like um, like playing an instrument to me feels almost like a sport. I mean, I'm doing things with my hands and my fingers, and my body, and playing the piano, play the guitar, whatever. It's very intuitive for me. I'd never done anything remotely close to singing in my life, and so that that was the biggest journey for me was just learning how to control my voice, and how to apply melody to lyric. That's I don't know. Are you a writer? Are you a singer? Have you had that experience yourself?
Oh, yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, I
So
played the singer-songwriter circuit in Houston long time ago, so
yeah, that's right. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, that's right. You told me that you had done that.
yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah. So
know,
you know the drill. Did you grow up
I know
singing too, or was that new for
uh,
you?
no, I grew up playing music.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up playing music, so the singing came later. Long story. Anyway, back to you. What I'm curious about here is, um, a lot of people who just start writing, I mean, people write, they use their own lives for a lot of their fuel. And I don't sense self-indulgent, emo, indie rock stuff coming through what you write at all. And in fact, you actually call your mailing list the Positive Vibe Tribe. So how have you did it just evolve into this? Are you always just sort of trying to figure things out about being human? What's the overarching thrust of your music here?
You know, I was born like a positive person, I think, right? I kind of rolled out. I'm like, okay, I'm looking for the opportunity in front of me. I like finding the best in people and help bringing that out. I like finding the best way to, make it through a situation in some way. So, even if I've had setbacks or, downturns in my life, like everyone in the world has, I don't stay there. I quickly, this is the way my brain works. I just quickly find, a positive thread to pull on, right? And bring everyone, myself and everyone else around me, up out of whatever the negative element was. And so that's kind of natural. I've been that way my whole life in just about everything in sports and in my engineering career, in business. And so the hard thing for me as I started writing, um, and using my life as an example, it's like, okay, I've got the song Boundary like we talked about, right? Or song Brothers. Hey, we're all brothers here in this world, right? Um, how do I share that innate natural element that's part of me in a way that's not preachy, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you know, I'm not trying to tell someone how to live their life, right? I'm just trying to, say, hey, I'm happy with the world and there's lots of great people in it. Um, and so I started writing some songs, so my songs have some maybe scientific view. Like I wrote a song called Velocity. It's about, you know, the world sometimes pushes against you, right? You get some extra force trying to keep you from your dreams or your goals, and you gotta fight hard to keep your velocity up, right? So it's got a little bit of a science word in there, but it's not overly, science minded. Um, but for me, there's a positive element in the song about tenacity is an important part of life. Um, and so I try to be organic, in the way I write when I'm thinking about things, and so that there's always some kind of a positive element, maybe some kind of a quirky way that I see the world as a scientist or a mathematician or whatever that informs some of the writing, but it's still got to be accessible for people to receive that. Um, and so that's an important part of why I do what I do. I love the ability to connect with a community and have a shared experience and a shared moment. And I hope that people who hear my music or they come out to a live show, um, they take away a few extra protons with them. They're going to get a little extra positivity in their world, um, and go share it with somebody else. And that makes my day. And that to me is what a successful song or a successful show really is all about.
And this is a perfect place for us to pause. We're taking our break. Everyone, hang out. You'll get to hear some music on the other side. See you in a few minutes. Welcome back to Celestial Compass. We're talking today with musician Mark Winters and his interesting journey for how he went from aerospace engineering to writing songs. Now, what I'd like to ask you about at this point is, so you start writing songs. How did you go from that to building a performing career and touring?
Yeah, y- this for me, I'm very like curious, and so I always try all kind of new things, and you never know if you're going to be good at them or not, right? So you got to try surfing before you know if you're good at it or not, or music or whatever. And so for me, I got such a great joy out of the musical performance that I did, the first one that I did, that I was sort of on the hunt. And so as I started, I put a little cover band together. We did some shows around town. I just wanted the experience of being in a band and that sort of thing. And then I started changing the lyrics for the songs that I was singing. And people got mad at me, like, that's not the song. But I wanted to say something to, well, write your own songs, right? And so I started writing my own stuff. Um, but you don't know if people are gonna like or vibe with what you're doing. And so what I started to, I'm a big strategy student of whatever I'm doing. And so I started studying people who had found a way to have a sustainable career in music, whether they were producers or whether they were writers for other people or performers, and sort of, what did I like to do? I don't know. I produced a song. Did I like that? I wrote for someone else. Did I like that? I wrote for Sync. Did I like that? And so I kept coming back to what brought me joy was the human connection of a live performance and the community that you get to have in that moment. And so for me, um, I started focusing on that area, and learning what a sustainable career looks like in that area. And so I played every show I could possibly play. I said yes everywhere to all the showcases and everything else. And I found myself in Austin at South by Southwest at doing a showcase there in 2023. And uh, a tour company saw me perform and said, "Hey, you're looks like you're ready for what they call a starter tour, right? Just to kind of get out and get yourself, going."
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Okay, I'm in." Didn't realize at the time that that meant 60 or 70 days on the road. That's what a starter tour looks like. And oh, by the way, you got to do it, multiple times a year. And so that was an interesting conversation to have with my wife. Like, hey, sweetie, I need to go on the road for 2.5 months, twice a year. But she's been amazing. She's like, I may have married an engineer with a normal job and a normal paycheck and all that stuff. But if this brings you joy, then we want, what can I do to help you? And so she's been phenomenal, and just being right there with me as I've been on the journey. And so I started touring last year. I did a spring and a fall tour last year. It took a year to book it, so I worked the year before last year to line up all the shows, and figure out, routing and logistics and opening acts and tickets and all the hullabaloo that goes with running your own DIY project. And It's been great. I think it taught me so much about myself. Um, it honed my skills like nothing I ever would have done if I'd have stayed around town and played, whatever, 20 or 30 shows a year around town is nothing compared to playing 150 shows, in different rooms every night, right? You just sort of learn, I think. I didn't get it growing up. I didn't have a piano recital, in school or whatever. So you got to put your 10,000 steps in. Yeah, so I basically did a spring and a fall tour last year. Loved it. Loved the world that I got to visit, all the communities that I got to be a part of. And this year I'm doing the same. I'll be leaving at the end of August for my fall tour, and going east and north. I think I have 67 shows on that fall tour. So it's going to be amazing.
Do you hang out with the audience afterwards?
I love that. Yeah, I love. I love being a part of the stories. I get song inspirations from them. A lot of times people will come up and say, hey, you know, the story you told me about the song that you wrote or the song itself made me think of something in my life. Um, and those are special moments for me. It's like we're on the same vibe at the same time. It's like, okay. I do this little warm up, not warm up. So I love Jacob Collier and how he interacts with the audience and has all of his amazingness, you know, sort of amplified. And so for me, I incorporated my own version of like crowd participation elements. And so I have a little rhythm I do on my guitar and I recite some poetry, like rhythmic poetry to it, and people participate in it. There's a call and response, and oh, I get a crowd going on that. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah, I think it's been phenomenal to talk to people afterwards, to talk to people during the show in that manner, right, where we're having this interaction, right, a musical interaction live is phenomenal.
So, tell us about the recording that we're going to play.
Yeah, so I have a really good friend of mine, producer, guitar playing friend of mine, Michael Shanks, and he and I played a show and had professional recording gear out there for it because most of the places I'm playing look for a live performance video of some kind. And this particular song is a song that I wrote. I'm in a good mood for the most part all the time, right? But every now and then I get in a bad mood and I can Taylor Swift would tell you, I can shake it off and move on. But I got in a funk and I couldn't quite get out of it. And I tried my normal things and rollerblading and running and, you know, whatnot. And I just couldn't shake it off. And so I decided, you know, I am a songwriter. I might as well write a song about it. And I wrote this song kind of to like a bluesy guitar vibe to it, a little John Mayer influence. It's called Seven Deadly Moods, and it's about those moods and how I get out of it.
Okay, so are we ready with the video? Chris, are we there? Yes, thank you.
I've got these bad moods in my head, snapping and biting, they put me on edge. It's like a hydra spitting with seven heads, sneaking around and trying to spread fear and sadness. Got a hold on me. What's it gonna take to make you leave? My mind is tied up in a funky mood. It's got me on edge. What do? I said I'm moody. I need my friends around me. We'll dance all night, said our worries free. Singing our songs, gonna change my tone. Seven deadly moods, gonna turn to gold. It's lonely and quiet, just sitting on my couch. No one's around to help me out. Shameful, depressing, and murky thoughts, constricting and squeezing, I'm headed south. Anger and sadness all setting in. What's it gonna take to make you leave? My mind my head. HISSING, love and light and camaraderie. MISSING, take those moods and loosen their hold. KISSING, 7 deadly moods gonna turn to gold. I said turning to gold. I said I'm moody, I need my friends around me. We'll dance all night, set our worries free. Singing our songs, gonna change my tone. 7 deadly moods gonna turn to gold. I said turning to gold.
Thank you. I can see that at South by Southwest. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a showcase performance there.
It's a great little, yeah, I love that song. It's got a great vibe, and I think it's so much fun to play it. I think, just, you have all your little babies, and so I've written tons of songs, each one has its own little special place, but I
Mhm.
think that one, most audiences can vibe with that one. They don't need to be super nerdy or super poppy for that. So it's a good one for sure. And Michael's great to play with. He's an amazing guy.
Yeah, collaboration is a way to go. That is for certain. So I noticed, looks like you've got your mailing list, Positive Vibe Tribe. How did you come up with that name for it?
I was talking to some fans after a show. Like, man, did y'all catch some of the positive energy today? They're like, hey, we're your positive vibe tribe. I'm like, what? Boom. So my fans came up with that actually, and I'm in, and so it's been that ever since.
I love it when that happens. Okay, and on
Yeah.
your merch page, you have a haiku sticker. What's this haiku?
That's my chosen form of um, poetry. I just love my engineering mind loves the 575 meter of a haiku, and so if you go through my social media, you check out my TikTok or whatever, you'll see tons of little haikus for me expressing thoughts and moments in my life. That particular haiku is about the courage to make a new friend, right? You come up with your hands in your pockets, all shy, right? And then you have the courage to step out and say hello to somebody. And so it's the make a friend haiku.
Could you recite it for the people who aren't on your website right now?
Oh my goodness, could I do that? That's a good question.
Ah, well,
Oh,
if it's too
uh,
hard, don't worry about it. Okay.
okay, yeah, I'll think about that.
Ah, okay. So, this is I don't even know where to take this at this point. What do you just keep writing and you keep rolling with the energy and finding new parts of yourself, and do you find you sleep better? I know that's an odd question, but do you feel like there's an integration that has taken place inside of you in some
Yeah.
way?
So, yeah, 3 questions there. So, one, yes, writing more and collaborating more. I started co-writing with people. I went to an Andrea Stolpe songwriting retreat, my first formal education in Austin a few years back, and she sort of unlocked my mind on how to think in a co-write. And I had the most amazing co-writing experiences that week with all the people that were there. And I came back and I co-write with everybody now. I love the shared energy. I love that collaboration. It's just 2 + 2 is 12, right? It's amazing
Mhm,
in my mind.
mhm.
And so yeah, continue to do that. I really want to bring a lot of positive energy into the world. And so in my mind, if my music or my performance isn't competitive with other choices that people have out in the world, then it's not gonna, the message isn't going to get there, right? And so I'm really focused a lot on improving my live performance skills and writing better songs and connecting with people in better ways. And so I've been working a lot, studying a lot. There's a guy, Mark Scavilla, has a great solo performance act. John Mayer and Ed Sheeran do it. Lots of great people who have successful, solo, duo, or trio performance styles that aren't super heavy production. And so working on that a lot, playing bigger rooms and collaborating with more artists. So for me, I'm on the journey and learning every day. And to get to your last question, yes, I sleep like a little baby. It's pretty phenomenal. Yeah, I think, like you said, an integration has happened. It's like, I don't know, I think it's easy to sort of, you start stretching yourself in a direction and you can contort the person that you are into a shape that is not natural for you, right? And so for me, I was sort of in that state. And then I think music has really helped me sort of recenter myself, reground myself, and open my mind. And so I feel very balanced today compared to 5 years ago. It's pretty phenomenal.
I think a lot of people can relate to the concept of shoving yourself into a shape that you think you need to be in. Every one of us has a story. I suspect I certainly have a very dramatic one in that regard. And, so you are, and this is part of why I wanted you to be a guest on my show after you got in touch with me about this, because it's really helpful for people to see, look, someone did this. Like, I'm not crazy for wanting to live, hate to use this word, more authentically, to let parts of myself come out that maybe I was told were impractical or stupid, or who does that? And here you are, living proof of you can be all the parts of you and integrate them. And I like the concept of going for joy.
Yeah, I think and I think for me, I think there's a purposeful element that kind of goes with it. You're not going to find a joyful experience and then you don't have an eye towards sustainability. I mean, we live in a world, everyone has to eat, you have to live, you have to drive your car. And so for me, I'm a, I don't know, I made this concept up called an and life, right? And it's like, you don't have to do engineering or music, right? You could do them both, right? You can have an and life, right? You just have to be thoughtful about it and from a strategic point of view, you have to think about how do you sustain the elements of that. And so for me, I would not have my music career if I didn't have an eye towards the strategy that's going to make it sustainable. So I have to have that element in there. It's not the dominant element, right? It's not the why for me, right? But it's part of the how. And so I think having, if you're stuck, I'd say, if any of your listeners are stuck in a situation you don't like, and you're not satisfied in your life, you can find that joyful place for yourself. But it does take a little bit of thought and for me, a lot of effort. I mean, because you go through the thing, as a kid to learn to do what you are doing right now, and now you want to do something different. You got to go through the steps and the thought process and the training and the time to learn to do the new thing, right? And if you're thoughtful about it, I think you can come out on the other side joyful and sustainable.
And I've always thought, that's why I started my questions where I did, that when we're kids, we inherently know what we're really interested in. So there's something about childhood interests that can fuel where you ultimately go. Now, you're a little bit of an aberration because of the music part, but you brought, your connection with your grandmother, and writing was part of it too. And I like this and concept. It sounds like an improvisational skill. If you're in an improvisational troupe, you always take what someone brings and you build on it. You don't say but or no or anything. You go with it. So I think that's a really very helpful way of going about things. So were there, there's got to have been a bit of a, am I crazy? Why am I doing this moment that you went through? I mean, it's not just waking up and going, oh, I'm going to do this.
Oh, yeah. No, I think you're right. There's can you do it? You want to do it, can you do it? And so there's a journey to learning, like, can I play the guitar, right? Well, you don't know until you try it. And are you any good at it, right? And you have to put a lot of time into something before you really learn if you're good at it, right? And so there's like when I was learning to play the guitar, constant assessment, right? Am I learning, am I hearing, is my ear developed? Can I hear what that other guitarist is doing to know how to do it on my instrument, right? And
Mhm.
so you don't know. When I'm singing, I don't know. Can I sing or not? Do people like it when I sing? Can I, can I improvisationally sing, like you said, right? I mean, there's a lot of skills you have to learn. And so for me, there were lots of moments where, like I remember tracking my first song in the studio, 28 takes to get just the rhythm part for one song. 28 takes, driving my producer mad. Like, can I get someone else to do it? I'm like, no, I'm learning. You signed up with me knowing that I was a novice, and I'm gonna do it, and it's gonna make me better. And this is the long game for me, right? Um, so yeah, lots of moments where, oh my God, I can't even keep. I remember, like, okay, I'm playing this progression. I'm doing my thing, uh, and the bass player pipes in. He's like, "Can you play it just a little bit behind the beat?" I'm like, dude, I can't even play it on the beat, much less behind the beat. What does that even mean, right? But you learn and you grow, and your ear grows, and you learn you can do the thing, right? And so yeah, I think in all, can I keep up? Can I sing 65? Can I sing every night for 2.5 months? I don't know. Can I play the guitar? Can I can I have a show every night? Right? I mean, you don't know. And so sometimes it's the great unknown you're jumping into. And then you figure it out. Like, okay, I can do the thing. Okay. And so for me, like every one of those moments where I question myself is a learning moment. Like I'm just like, okay, it's like a self-assessment moment. What am I doing here? Okay, I know what I'm doing. What am I learning? Right? What am I trying to do? Am I purposeful? Okay, I'm where I need to be then.
Did you have to deal with people telling you you can't do this or you're crazy or your parents going, "We put you through school and this is what you're doing"?
Lots of people. The internet is full of trolls who,
Mm.
uh, and this is regardless, because I look on other people's social media and whatever, right? You could be like the most, you know, amazing vocalist on the planet, and someone's going to pipe in, "Oh, you can't sing," right? So it happens to everybody. But, for me, when you're just one of the things as an artist that I didn't realize that I would need is the affirmation of an artist. I need the acceptance for my art. And so I'm showing it to people. And it was a very weird experience for me, right? And so you're very vulnerable in those moments. And so sometimes people are rightfully critical, and sometimes people are wrongfully critical, right? And you have to be able to discern that. And so I think there's a ton of people who tell you you can't do it, right? And then I don't need a lot of encouragement. I just need like one moment. Oh, that chord landed just right. Or, oh man, I sang that line like a champ. Okay, but maybe the rest of the song not so good, but man, that line was good. Okay, now I need 2 of those in a song, and then 3 of those in a song. And so you kind of, I need a little bit of encouragement to help me, move forward with the thing. And so yeah, I got a ton of criticism. I think every new artist does. And every person who's learning something for the first time, you get it, and you just have to, you have to accept it and say, yeah, that's that. Either it's right or wrong. Okay, they're right or wrong. If they're wrong, I'm like, okay, thanks for telling me that, but you're entitled to your opinion. Or they're right, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to work on that, right? So that doesn't pull people out of a performance or a song. I need to write a better lyric, right, or whatever. So.
My experience of what I have observed is when somebody has the nerve to go after something that they really want and walk away from something fairly traditional, people are envious. They're like, "I wouldn't have the nerve to do that. Wow, I can't believe you did that." Did you get any of
Yeah.
that?
I have several
Really?
friends who tell me that, like, man, I wish I could do that. Right? Where did you find the courage to do it? Um, I've had several friends of mine who've told me that. And I have several like musicians I meet out on the road who have been at it longer than I am. They're like, how are you doing what you're doing? Right? You're so new. Right? Um, and so, whether it's someone who's like, how did you make a career shift like that? Or how did you pick up a new thing like that? I get a lot of that. And I find a lot of people who are like closet creatives. Like there's
Mhm.
a lot of people I'm out and they're an engineer and they like my music and they come to a show, they buy a ticket. At the end of the show, they come up and they go, I love your music. I love this song, this and that, the other. Oh, and by the way, I'm a painter or I'm a poet, right? Or I'm a playwright, right? And so they have this creative side to them as well. It's just, and they always like, I wish I could do more of that. And I'm like, dude, you can do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very, very much. I'd like you to tell people where they can find you, all the places you are online.
You can find me at markwintersmusic.com. That's Mark with a K. And all of my links are there. If you're on social platforms, you can find me at Mark Winters Music as my handle on socials as well. And your favorite streaming platforms, just Mark Winters, on Spotify or Apple or wherever you might listen to music. And you can find my tour schedule there as well, and my Positive Vibe Tribe email list. So all things Mark Winters there.
Where's your tour taking you this fall? You said
I'm
north and east. What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm headed out of Texas. I take a teeny little bit of a jaunt north up into Oklahoma, and then I'm running down the Gulf Coast. Then do a loop through Florida, up the East Coast, do a loop through the top of Canada, and then zigzag my way back down through the central U.S. and eastern central U.S. back to Texas.
I'll have to check this out because there's some people in a few spots that you need to meet if you're going there, so I will let you know.
I'd love to have you.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, because anyway, thank you very, very much. I hope everyone out there in Om Times Media Land, I hope you've enjoyed this change of pace, and I hope you understand why this absolutely fits the astrology of the moment. So thank you, Mark. I really appreciate you being there. And everybody stay sane. Remember, my forecasts are at omtimes.com, empowermentunlimited.net, and the Professional Aquarian YouTube channel. So go out and find your joy. Figure out how
Share
to make
those
it.
protons.
Okay. Until next time. Bye.